Are you an ambitious attorney who is ready to build a life that you cannot wait to wake up for? Then you're in the right place. Welcome to Powerhouse Lawyers, a podcast for the powerhouse in each of us. I'm your host, Erin Gerner. And if you're ready to practice law differently, let's go. Hello. Welcome to the Powerhouse Lawyers podcast. I'm your host, Erin Gerner, and I am so excited that you are here. Welcome to episode 1. Woo! Can we get like a slow golf clap? This is so exciting. I am thrilled to be here. This podcast has been a dream in my back pocket for a long time. And with some gentle nudging from people that I love and trust in my life, coaches, mentors, peers, colleagues, here we are. And I am just thrilled to press record, honestly, because this is just a larger platform for me to be able to share all of the knowledge that I have acquired over all of my lifetime, but specifically over the last 10 years since leaving the law and getting into coaching and personal development and all of those things, my IP, if you will, because really the true purpose of this podcast and my true goal with this podcast is to elevate women, to help women win, specifically, particularly women in the law, and to help you all win faster by sharing my IP, if you will, by sharing all of my knowledge that I've acquired, all of, my failures, skinned knees, so you can win faster. I am also going to bring you inspiring stories and journeys from other fellow female attorneys. I have amassed the most incredible network of powerhouse lawyers, and I am excited to share their stories with you because not only my hope is that you will see yourself in part of their stories and part of their journeys and resonate with that, to know that you are not alone, that there are other people who have had those thoughts, but they are showing you what's possible. They're evidence of how to practice law differently, of how they have made this profession work for them, whether that's still practicing law, whether that's through entrepreneurship, whether that's a different industry. I am a huge advocate of putting yourself in rooms with people who are kicking butt and doing what you are doing, not for an intimidation factor. No. But the reason why you put yourself in rooms with people who are doing what you want to do is because they show you what's possible. The conversation is different. And so here you are on this podcast. If you're listening to this podcast, you are a woman who is ready not only to win in her life, but wants to see other women win. And I am, quote unquote, putting you in that room through your ear, whether you're in your bathroom, whether you're in your car, whether you're in your yoga pants. I'm putting you in that room. I'm your facilitator. And these women are going to help elevate your life by showing you what's possible. And also, so you know that you're not alone, that there's nothing wrong with you. I cannot tell you how many conversations I have with clients, and I've had conversations with hundreds of women, not only lawyers, but just women in general, who really, truly just think there's something wrong with them because they feel a certain way, because their life looks great on the outside, but they don't feel good on the inside. And also weekly, I am here to bring you practical, tactical tips and tools and real life talk about dispelling this terrible narrative that society is reinforcing over and over again, that's just keeping women overwhelmed, thinking that they have to do it all. We're going to dial that back and do some real talk. And I am going to provide you with some great tactical tips and advice that you can implement in your life today while you are listening. each time while you are listening, because the change that you desire in your life is not a sweeping overhaul of everything that's happening right now. It is simple, small habit and mindset changes over time, continuously, that create massive shifts. So we don't need to be intimidated by change. We just need to start taking action. But before we start taking action, y'all probably want to know who the heck Erin Gerner is, how I got here, all the things about me. So I'm Erin, obviously. Hi. I live about an hour outside of Dallas, Texas, in a little town called Canton, east of Dallas. And my husband and I lived there for about 14 years. We recently moved out of there at the time of this recording, and we're on a bunch of acreage, and we are just so happy to have extra space. There are animals that live next door. There's a donkey, not ours, that my husband have named Steve, or that my kids have named Steve. And it has just been the most beautiful transition. I have two daughters that are 12 and 8 at the time of this recording, Miriam and Caroline. They're fantastic. They are part of my why and my purpose on why it is so important to me to not only show up as my best self, but to empower other women to do the same, because I know that I'm breaking generational wounds, generational curses, generational conversations and stories and beliefs. I'm breaking that cycle and showing my daughters what's possible and what they are capable of, which is anything, and not putting my limiting beliefs on them, and just empowering them with the knowledge that with their unique superpowers, they can conquer the world. And that's just a huge part of my why I do this work, why I feel so passionately about it. But yes, my husband and I have been married for almost 16 years. We met in law school. So he's a fellow lawyer. We are still working out how to argue well together, but we're getting better. I've trained him well, as I would say. So I went to law school right out of college. I am originally from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I'm a Southern girl. If it's sea or snow, I'm always sea. And I went to University of North Carolina for undergrad and majored in the wildly popular international studies. It was very interesting. I had no idea what I was going to do with that degree, and found myself at 22 years old, a very good student and loved school. My parents told me I loved to argue, and people always told me that I would make a great attorney. I had no attorneys in my family, so I had, no really information on what this profession entailed, what law school even entailed, really what I was getting myself into. But frankly, it was another 3 years for me to figure this whole thing out. And I felt really silly about that story for a really long time when I would tell it. And what I know now is there is a very large population of people in the legal industry who went to law school for the exact same reasons. But there I was in law school. I actually really loved law school. I mean, yes, exams for the birds, but the study of law I found incredibly fascinating. I graduated in the top 10% of my class, met my husband there. I had a really great community of friends there, people that we're still very close with. You go through the trenches with those people, they just become your soldiers. And obviously doing all the things in law school, graduating in the top 10%, took the internship, went to big law, and found myself drinking from the fire hose, completely overwhelmed, having anxiety and other physical anxiety symptoms from the pressure, from the overwhelm, from the drinking of the fire hose. I had no mentorship. I had a great partner that I worked for. It was a male. But again, I did not have a community of women. I didn't have anybody showing me the way, leading the way, showing me, and telling me that it was normal to feel this way, and that, if things were going to get better, and, here was an outlet and somewhere you could come to get support. None of that. I left big law and went in-house thinking that I was going to get more flexibility. I think Sometimes that's the case. Other times that's a lie. In my case, that was a lie. And there I was in this in-house position. I also became a mom during that time. And I found myself just coming back from maternity leave as a new mom. My daughter was about 2 at this time, and it just wasn't working. I could not work from home. I couldn't go to doctor's appointments. It was in a male dominated field, and I just, again, didn't have an outlet or anything. And so I walked away from the practice of law feeling really just kind of just disheartened by the whole thing. But what that disheartenment would later come to fruition as is feeling like I failed, like I couldn't cut it. I wasn't a good lawyer. I couldn't hack it. The profession was too hard for me. All of these lies and stories that were not true. But because I had tied so much of my identity into the practice of law and into being a lawyer, I had no idea who Erin was outside of being a lawyer, what I wanted my life to look like, what I liked doing. No one had actually ever asked me that before, ever. And I had my other daughter while I was home during that time, a couple of years. It was such a blessing. Do not get me wrong. I loved staying at home, but I knew that there was something more. And financially, it was time for me to go back to work. I went back to part-time law and picked up a side hustle, a social selling opportunity, which we will talk about on this show. I'm so excited to talk about that. Not a lot of people in the law are talking about a social selling opportunity, and not for the reasons why you think. What that opportunity gave to me was, first of all, the introduction to personal development. I had never been introduced to any of those concepts before. And the second thing that it did was help me lay a foundation as an entrepreneur and allowed me to lean into the skill sets that were in my wheelhouse, which is teaching, inspiring, empowering other women, leading, building teams, inspiring other people. And I, in that situation, coached and mentored hundreds of women in various professions to step into the best versions of themselves, to build another source of income, to support their family, whatever that looked like, and to help them build the confidence to do so. And I also, in that process, ended up hiring a coach myself. And that was the turning point. She was also an attorney, a former attorney. And I, for the very first time, was sitting across from somebody who understood my brain and who actually got me to sit down and to slow down and get off the hamster wheel long enough to start asking myself really important questions. And those are questions that I want you guys to ask yourself too, if you're listening to this. What did I want? Who was I outside of being an attorney? What was I passionate about? What did I want my life to look like 6 months from now, a year from now? How did I want that to feel? Getting really radically honest and taking radical accountability and asking myself with the caveat, not judging it, because the first thing I wanted to do was think all of this is not possible. What I want isn't possible, because I had been living according to somebody else's values, to other people's expectations, to the law's expectations of what I should be doing, who I should be, instead of asking myself the questions, who am I? What are my core values? With the caveat of, if you knew you couldn't fail, if you knew time wasn't an issue, if money wasn't an issue, if everything was going to turn out exactly how you envisioned it, what would you want? And getting radically honest about that, getting it on paper. And that is when I realized that this is my superpower. Once I learned how to coach myself, I was not only a better coach for other people, but I started attracting recovering lawyers and women in the law who were burnt out, overwhelmed, and sick of doing it this way, and knew that there had to be a better way, and there was a better way. And that is how Erin Gerner Coaching was born. That is how I got into coaching. But I am more than a coach. My superpower is people, being able to connect with people in a very unique way to then see their superpowers and then to form community of those people to be able to elevate lawyers as a whole. That is my superpower. I am magnetic. People are drawn to me, and I want to elevate those people and their superpowers. So that is what I want to do with you, for you on this show. I want to elevate you. I want you to uncover your superpowers that are uniquely yours so you can use those to leverage them in your business. And I also want to invite you into the Powerhouse Lawyers community, a network of powerhouse women that are here to help you scale your business and, most importantly, enrich your life and help you win faster. So if you enjoyed this episode, take a screenshot, share it with a friend, share it with a fellow sister in the law, and I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you. This podcast is for you and about you. What topics do you want to hear about? What real talk do we need to have? What are some guests and areas of law, life, branding, whatever it is, social media? What do you want to hear about? What do you need in your life? Send me a DM at Erin Gerner. Tag me in this episode at Erin Gerner. And I cannot wait to see you next time to get to know each other over these coming episodes. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be so fun. Remember, you are a powerhouse, and I'll see you next time.